Serbs, principally Bosnian Muslims and Bosnian Croats, living in the territories of Banja Luka, Bihać, Bijeljina, Bileća, Bosanska Gradiška, Bosanska Krupa, Bosanski Novi, Bosanski Petrovac, Bosanski Šamac, Bratunac, Brčko, Čajniče, Čelinac, Doboj, Foča, Gacko, Sarajevo Ilijaš, Ključ, Kalinovik, Kotor Varoš, Nevesinje, Sarajevo Novi Grad, Prijedor, Prnjavor, Rogatica, Rudo, Sanski Most, Sokolac, Srebrenica, Teslić, Višegrad, Vlasenica and Zvornik. The extermination, murder and willful killings of these groups were effected by a. Killing the Bosnian Muslims, Bosnian Croats and other non-Serbs in their towns and villages during and after the takeover of the territories listed above, including those specified in Schedule A to this indictment. B. The killing of Bosnian Muslims, Bosnian Croats and other non-Serbs in detention facilities and during their deportation or forcible transfers, including those specified in Schedule B to this indictment. By these acts and omissions, Slobodan Milosevic committed Count 4. Extermination, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5b and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 5. Murder, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5a and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 6. Willful killing, a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 2a and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 7. Murder, a violation of the laws or customs of war as recognized by Common Article 3.1a of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 3 and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Counts 8 to 15. Unlawful confinement, imprisonment, torture, willfully causing great suffering, other inhumane acts. From on or about the 1st of March 1992 until the 31st of December 1995, Slobodan Milosevic, acting alone or in concert with members of the joint criminal enterprise, planned, instigated, ordered, committed, or otherwise aided and abetted the planning, preparation, or execution of the unlawful confinement or imprisonment under inhumane conditions of Bosnian Muslims, Bosnian Croats, and other non-Serbs within the territories of Banja Luka, Bihać, Bijeljina, Bileća, Bosanska Dubica, Bosanska Krupa, Bosanski Novi, Bosanski Petrovac, Bosanski Šamac, Bratunac, Brčko, Čajniče, Čelinac, Doboj, Donji Vakuf, Foča, Gacko, Ključ, Kalinovik, Kotor Varoš, Nevesinje, Prijedor, Prnjavor, Rogatica, Rudo, Sanski Most, Sokolac, Teslić, Višegrad, Vlasenica, and Zvornik. Serb military forces comprised of JNA, VJ, VRS, TO, and paramilitary units acting in cooperation with local police staff and local Serb authorities, arrested and detained thousands of Bosnian Muslim, Bosnian Croat, and other non-Serb civilians from the territories listed above. These civilians were held in short and long-term detention, of which the major facilities are specified in Schedule C to this indictment. The living conditions in these detention facilities were brutal and characterized by inhumane treatment, overcrowding, starvation, forced labor, inadequate medical care, and systematic physical and psychological assault, including torture, beatings, and sexual assault. By these acts and omissions, Slobodan Milosevic committed Count 8, imprisonment, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5E and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 9, torture, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5F and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 10, inhumane acts, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5I and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 11, unlawful confinement, a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 2G and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 12, torture, a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 2B and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 13, willfully causing great suffering, a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 2C and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 14, torture, a violation of the laws or customs of war as recognized by Common Article 3.1a of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 3 and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 15, cruel treatment, a violation of the laws or customs of war as recognized by Common Article 3.1a of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 3 and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Counts 16 to 18, deportation and inhumane acts, forcible transfers. From on or about the 1st of March 1992 until the 31st of December 1995, Slobodan Milosevic, acting alone or in concert with members of the Joint Criminal Enterprise, planned, instigated, ordered, committed, or otherwise aided and abetted the planning, preparation, or execution of the unlawful forcible transfer, also qualifying as deportation where indicated hereinafter, of tens of thousands of Bosnian Muslim, Bosnian Croat and other non-Serb civilians from their legal domiciles in the territories of Banja Luka, deportation, Bihać, Bijeljina, Bileća, deportation, Bosanska Dubica, Bosanska Gradiška, Bosanska Krupa, Bosanski Novi, Bosanski Petrovac, Bosanski Šamac, deportation, Bratunac, Brčko, Čajniče, Čelinac, Doboj, Donji Vakuf, Foča, Gacko, deportation, Sarajevo, Hadžići, Sarajevo Iliđa, Sarajevo Ilijaš, Ključ, Kalinovik, Kotor Varoš, Nevesinje, Sarajevo Novi Grad, Sarajevo Novo Sarajevo, Sarajevo Pale, Prijedor, Prnjavor, Rogatica, Rudo, deportation, Sanski Most, Šekovići, Šipovo, Sokolac, Srebrenica, Teslić, Trebinje, Sarajevo, Trnovo, Višegrad, Vlasenica, Sarajevo Vogošća, and Zvornik, deportation. To other areas both inside and outside Bosnia and Herzegovina. The details of such acts and omissions are described in Schedule D. In order to achieve this objective, Serb forces, comprised of JNA, VJ, VRS and TO, paramilitary units, acting in cooperation with local police staff, local Serb authorities and special forces of the Serbian Ministry of Internal Affairs, under the effective control of Slobodan Milosevic or other members of the joint criminal enterprise, subjugated villages and towns in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and participated with members of the SDS in the disarming of the non-Serb population. The towns and villages, including areas in which the inhabitants complied and offered no resistance, were then attacked. These attacks were intended to compel the non-Serb population to flee. After taking control of the towns and villages, the Serb forces often rounded up the remaining non-Serb civilian population and forcibly removed them from the area. On other occasions, the Serb forces, in cooperation with the local Serb authorities, imposed restrictive and discriminatory measures on the non-Serb population and engaged in a campaign of terror designed to drive them out of the territory. The majority of non-Serbs that remained were eventually deported or forcibly transferred from their homes. By these acts and omissions, Slobodan Milosevic committed Count 16, deportation, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5D and 5.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 17, inhumane acts, forcible transfers, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5I and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 18, unlawful deportation or transfer, a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 2G and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Counts 19 to 22. Wanton destruction, plunder of public or private property. From on or about the 1st of March 1992 until the 31st of December 1995, Slobodan Milosevic, acting alone or in concert with members of the joint criminal enterprise, planned, instigated, ordered, committed, or otherwise aided and abetted the planning, preparation, or execution of the wanton destruction and plunder of the public and private property of the Bosnian Muslim, Bosnian Croat, and other non-Serb populations within the territories of Banja Luka, Bihać, Bijeljina, Bileća, Bosanska Dubica, Bosanska Gradiška, Bosanska Krupa, Bosanski Novi, Bosanski Petrovac, Bosanski Šamac, Bratunac, Brčko, Čajniče, Čelinac, Doboj, Donji Vakuf, Foča, Gacko, Sarajevo Hadžići, Sarajevo Iliđa, Sarajevo Ilijaš, Ključ, Kalinovik, Kotor Varoš, Nevesinje, Sarajevo Novi Grad, Sarajevo Novo Sarajevo, Sarajevo Pale, Prijedor, Prnjavor, Rogatica, Rudo, Sanski most, Šekovići, Šipovo, Sokolac, Srebrenica, Teslić, Sarajevo Trnovo, Trebinje, Višegrad, Vlasenica, Sarajevo Vogošća, and Zvornik. This intentional and wanton destruction and plunder was not justified by military necessity and included A. The appropriation and plunder of property belonging to Bosnian Muslim, Bosnian Croat, and other non-Serb civilians, including the coerced signing of documents relinquishing property rights. The intentional and wanton destruction of homes and other property owned by Bosnian Muslim, Bosnian Croat, and other non-Serb civilians. Such destruction was employed as a means to compel non-Serbs to flee their legal domiciles and to prevent their subsequent return. The intentional and wanton destruction of religious and cultural buildings of the Bosnian Muslim and Bosnian Croat communities, including but not limited to mosques, churches, libraries, educational buildings, and cultural centers. By these acts and omissions, Slobodan Milosevic committed Count 19. Extensive destruction and appropriation of property not justified by military necessity and carried out unlawfully and wantonly, a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 2D and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 20. Wanton destruction of villages or devastation not justified by military necessity, a violation of the laws or customs of war, punishable under Articles 3b and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 21. Willful destruction or willful damage done to historical monuments and institutions dedicated to educational religion, a violation of the laws or customs of war, punishable under Articles 3d and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 22. Plunder of public or private property, a violation of the laws or customs of war, punishable under Articles 3e and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Counts 22 to 29. Murder, willful killing, willfully causing great suffering, cruel treatment, attacks on civilians. Between April 1992 and November 1995, Slobodan Milosevic, acting alone or in concert with members of the joint criminal enterprise, planned, instigated, ordered, committed, or otherwise aided and abetted the planning, preparation, or execution of a military campaign of artillery and mortar shelling and sniping onto civilian areas of Sarajevo and upon its civilian population, killing and wounding thousands of civilians of all ages and both sexes. In this time period, the Sarajevo Romania Corps of the VRS, under the effective control of Radovan Karadzic and General Ratko Mladic, launched an extensive 40-month shelling and sniping attack on Sarajevo, mostly from positions in the hills surrounding the city with an unobstructed view of Sarajevo. The Sarajevo Romania Corps conducted a protracted campaign of shelling and sniping upon Sarajevo, during which civilians were either specifically targeted or the subject of reckless fire into areas where civilians were known to have been. Among the victims of this campaign were civilians who were, amongst other things, tending vegetable plots, queuing for bread or water, attending funerals, shopping in markets, riding on trams, gathering wood. Specific instances of sniping are described in Schedule E attached to this indictment. Specific instances of shelling are set forth in Schedule F. By these acts and omissions, Slobodan Milosevic committed Count 23. Murder, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5a and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 24. Inhumane acts, a crime against humanity, punishable under Articles 5i and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 25. Willful killing, a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 2a and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 26. Willfully causing great suffering, a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 2C and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 27, murder, a violation of the laws or customs of war as recognized by Common Articles 3.1a of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 3 and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 28, cruel treatment, a violation of the laws or customs of war as recognized by Common Article 3.1a of the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 3 and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Count 29, attacks on civilians, a violation of the laws or customs of war as recognized by Article 51.2 of Additional Protocol 1 and Article 13.2 of Additional Protocol 2 to the Geneva Conventions of 1949, punishable under Articles 3 and 7.1 and 7.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. General legal allegations. All acts and omissions alleged in this indictment occurred on the territory of the former Yugoslavia. At all times relevant to this indictment, a state of international armed conflict and partial occupation existed in Bosnia and Herzegovina. All acts and omissions charged as grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions of 1949 occurred during the international armed conflict and partial occupation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. All such acts and omissions were committed against persons protected under the Geneva Conventions. All acts and omissions charged relative to the destruction of property as grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions of 1949 involved protected property under the relevant provisions of the Geneva Conventions. At all times relevant to this indictment, Slobodan Milosevic was required to abide by the laws and customs governing the conduct of armed conflicts, including the Geneva Conventions of 1949 and the additional protocols thereto. All conduct charged as crimes against humanity was part of a widespread or systematic attack directed against the Bosnian Muslim, Bosnian Croat, and other non-Serb civilian populations within large areas of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Additional facts. In November 1990, multi-party elections were held in Bosnia and Herzegovina. At the republic level, the SDA, Stranka Demokratske Akcije, or rather the Party of Bosnian Muslims, won 86 seats. The SDS, the Party of the Bosnian Serbs, won 72 seats. And the HDZ, Hrvatska Demokratska Zajednica, Croatian Democratic Community, won 44 seats in the Assembly. The central idea within the SDS political platform, as articulated by its leaders, including Radovan Karadzic, Momčilo Krajišnik, and Biljana Plavšić, was the unification of all Serbs within one state. The SDS regarded the separation of Bosnia and Herzegovina from the SFRY as a threat to the interests of the Serbs. On the 5th of February 1991, the Assembly of the Republic of Serbia passed a law on ministries submitted by Slobodan Milosevic. This law established 20 ministries of the Serbian government, including the Ministry for Links with Serbs outside Serbia. This ministry assisted the SDS to establish the Serb Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The results of the November 1999 elections meant that, as time went on, the SDS would be unable through peaceful means to keep the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina in what was becoming a Serb-dominated Yugoslavia. As a result, Serb people within certain areas of Bosnia and Herzegovina, with Serb majorities, began to organize themselves into formal regional structures that they referred to as associations of municipalities. In April 1991, the Association of Municipalities of Bosnian Krajina, centered in Banja Luka, was formed. In March 1991, the collective presidency of the SFRY reached a deadlock on several issues, including the issue of instituting a state of emergency in Yugoslavia. The representatives of the presidency from the Republic of Serbia, the Republic of Montenegro, the Autonomous Province of Vojvodina, and the Autonomous Province of Kosovo and Metohija all resigned from their posts. In a televised address on the 16th of March 1991, broadcast over television, Slobodan Milosevic, in his capacity as President of the Republic, declared that Yugoslavia was finished and that Serbia would no longer be bound by decisions of the Federal Presidency. On the 25th of March 1991, Slobodan Milosevic and Franjo Tudjman met in Karađorđevo and discussed the partition of Bosnia and Herzegovina between Serbia and Croatia. On the 25th of June 1991, Slovenia and Croatia declared their independence. On the 26th of June 1991, the JNA intervened in Slovenia. In the summer of 1991, fighting broke out in Croatia. In August 1991, Radovan Karadzic instituted a system of secret communication between the local boards of the SDS and the main staff and with the Republic of Serbia. This secret communication protocol was declared mandatory for the transmission of reports and orders. From April 1991, the JNA began to withdraw its forces out of Croatia. Forces under the control of the JNA began to redeploy in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Many of these troops were deployed to areas in which there was no garrison or other JNA facilities. As the war continued in Croatia, it appeared increasingly likely that Bosnia and Herzegovina would also declare its independence from the SFRY. The SDS, realizing it could not prevent the cessation of Bosnia and Herzegovina from the SFRY, began the creation of a separate Serbian entity within Bosnia and Herzegovina. During the period from September to November 1991, several Serbian autonomous regions SAO were formed, some of them on the basis of the associations of municipalities referred to above. On the 12th of September 1991, the Serbian Autonomous Region of Herzegovina was proclaimed. On the 16th of September 1991, the Autonomous Region of Krajina was proclaimed by the Assembly of the Association of Municipalities of Bosnian Krajina. By the 21st of November 1991, the Serbian autonomous regions and autonomous regions consisted of the Autonomous Region of Krajina, the SAO Herzegovina, the SAO Romania Birac, the SAO Semberia, and SAO Northern Bosnia. On the 3rd of October 1991, the four members of the SFRY presidency from Serbia and Montenegro, Borislav Jovic, Jugoslav Kostic, Sejdo Bajramovic, and Branko Kostic, assumed the function of the SFRY presidency, circumventing the roles and responsibilities of the presidency members from Slovenia, Croatia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Macedonia. On the 15th of October 1991, at a meeting of the SDS Party Council, the decision was reached to form a separate assembly entitled the Assembly of the Serbian People of Bosnia and Herzegovina to secure Serb interests. On the 22nd of October 1991, on around that date, Slobodan Milosevic, together with other members of the Joint Criminal Enterprise, continued to advocate for a unitary Serb state governed from Belgrade, Serbia. On the same date, the Rump presidency called for the mobilization of reservists in Serbia and other regions that want to stay in Yugoslavia. On or about the 26th of October 1991, Radovan Karadzic declared a full mobilization of the TO and the formation of field units in the Serb Republic of Bosnia-Herzegovina. On the 24th of October 1991, The Assembly of the Serbian people in Bosnia and Herzegovina, dominated by the SDS, decided to conduct a plebiscite of the Serbian people in Bosnia and Herzegovina in order to decide whether to stay in the common state of Yugoslavia with Serbia, Montenegro, the Serbian autonomous province of Krajina, SAO Western Slavonia and SAO Eastern Slavonia, Baranja and Western Srem. On the 9th and 10th of November 1991, the Bosnian Serbs held the plebiscite on the issue of whether Bosnia and Herzegovina should stay in Yugoslavia or become an independent state. The results overwhelmingly showed that the Bosnian Serbs wanted to stay in Yugoslavia. On the 21st of November 1991, the Assembly of the Serbian people of Bosnia and Herzegovina proclaimed as part of the territory of the federal Yugoslav state all those municipalities, local communities and populated places in which over 50% of the people of Serbian nationality had voted during the plebiscite to remain in that state, as well as those places where citizens of other nationalities had expressed themselves in favor of remaining in Yugoslavia. On the 11th of December 1991, the Assembly of the Serbian people delivered a detailed request to the JNA to protect with all available means as integral parts of the state of Yugoslavia the territories of Bosnia and Herzegovina in which the plebiscite of the Serbian people and other citizens on remaining in a joint Yugoslav state had been conducted.
On the 19th of December 1991, the SDS issued instructions for the organization and activity of the organs of the Serbian people in Bosnia and Herzegovina in extraordinary circumstances, which provided a plan for the SDS takeover of municipalities in Bosnia and Herzegovina. On the 9th of January 1992, the Assembly of the Serbian people of Bosnia and Herzegovina adopted a declaration on the proclamation of the Serbian Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The territory of that republic was declared to include the territories of the Serbian autonomous regions and districts and of other Serbian ethnic entities in Bosnia and Herzegovina, including the regions in which the Serbian people remained in the minority due to the genocide conducted against it in World War II, and it was declared to be a part of the federal Yugoslav state. On the 12th of August 1992, the name of the Bosnian Serb Republic was changed to Republika Srpska. From the 29th of February to the 2nd of March 1992, Bosnia and Herzegovina held a referendum on independence. At the urging of the SDS, the majority of Bosnian Serbs boycotted the vote. The referendum resulted in a pro-independence majority. On the 18th of March 1992, during the 11th session of the Assembly of the Serbian people, a conclusion was reached to prepare for the next session proposals for the takeover of power in the Republic of Serbian people of Bosnia and Herzegovina. From March 1992 onwards, Serb regular and irregular forces seized control of territories within Bosnia and Herzegovina, including those specified in this indictment. On the 6th of April 1992, the United States and the European Community formally recognized the independence of Bosnia and Herzegovina. On the 27th of April 1992, Serbia and Montenegro proclaimed a new Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and declared it the successor state of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. On the 12th of May 1992, at the 16th Assembly of the Serbian people in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Radovan Karadzic announced the 6 strategic objectives of the Serbian people in Bosnia and Herzegovina. These objectives included the eradication of the Drina River as a border between the Serbian states. During the same session, General Ratko Mladic told the Assembly that it would not be possible to separate Serbs from non-Serbs and have the non-Serbs simply leave the territory. He warned that attempting this process would amount to genocide. On the 15th of May 1992, the United Nations Security Council, in its resolution number 752, demanded that all interference from outside Bosnia and Herzegovina by units of the GNA cease immediately, and that those units either be withdrawn, be subjected to the authority of the government of the Republic, or be disbanded and disarmed.
Thank you. Slobodan Milosevic, the time has now come for you to enter a plea to that indictment. I will put the indictment to you. You should confine your answer, as you know, to guilty or not guilty. On count 1 of this indictment, you are charged with genocide, punishable under Article 4.3 of the Statute of the Tribunal. How do you plead to that count, guilty or not guilty?
Microphone, please.
If you want to plead, put your microphone on.
I would like to say to you that what we have just heard, this tragic text, is a supreme absurdity. I should be given credit for peace in Bosnia, not for war. The responsibility for the war in Bosnia is with the forces who broke up Yugoslavia and their agents in Yugoslavia, not the Serbs or Serbian policies.
Milosevic, as you know, at this time you are simply required to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. You have failed to do so. Accordingly, the trial chamber will enter pleas of not guilty on all counts of this indictment. We will now adjourn and continue the hearing in half an hour.